Hello. I think I'm live. Hey everyone. Can y'all hear me? Let me check my audio real quick. We'll get started in about 40 seconds. Oh, it sounds like it's working. How's everybody doing? We'll get started in about 33 seconds. Ish. Something like that. Alright, so how's everybody doing? Hey Terror. Hi Lily Loop. Hey Troy. Hi Previous Apple. Look at all you guys interested in animating a wolf run cycle. Aw, thank you, Fire. I appreciate the donation. You say, bonk, you died, restart, main menu. Anyways, hi. I'm excited to hear your voice again. Thank you, Fire. How's everybody doing? I know that's said like 4 times. Alright, so today we're going to be learning about drawing and animating wolves as dynamically as possible with an angled run cycle. There we go. 1 second. Woo! Alright, you guys, I'm ready to roll. So, here we go. So today we are going to be, like I said, drawing dynamic run cycles, which basically means that we're not going to be doing any head-on run cycles, and we're also not going to be doing any side view run cycles. We're going to be doing heavily angled cycles, so it's going to be a lot more natural. It's going to be a lot less static. And this is going to be typically the camera angle you'll use for the most part whenever you're drawing out your run cycles. But the unfortunate part is this can be a little bit more confusing or complex than just a side view or even a front view. The legs might be weird. You're probably pulling your hair out because it's just not turning out the way you want it to, and all the overlapping parts don't make any sense. Makes the whole process super difficult. So there are really good ways that you can tackle the problem head on, the same way you would with a normal run cycle on the side or even in the front. But just to start out, it definitely does help to have reference. And for that reference, I actually found a clip of some wolves running, chasing a rabbit and things like that. Let me see if I can move it. Make it a little bit bigger for you guys for a second. So I found this reference of this wolf running, and it's about 11 frames. This is not going to be the dynamic run cycle that we're going to animate, but it will give us reference because the last thing we need to worry about is what pose that wolf is in when we're trying to make things dynamic and make things work. So I have the reference there, and we're just going to keep an eye on that as we build out this angled wolf run cycle. So let's see. The beginning of this, what I typically look at is there are 2 extremes in here. There is, let's see, there is the stretch, which would be this one. Oops, hang on, I'm like drawing behind. Oh no. Let me see. Animate actually changed, which is wonderful. That's fine. We'll just draw in front of it. So the stretch would probably be like number 8, number 9. And then you have the compression, which looks like it's about number 3. So that's whenever it's real scrunched up and all together. And those are the 2 super heavy, important frames that I wanted to emphasize, because if you can get those 2 positions down, animating this run cycle will be a lot easier. Also, I'm using Adobe Animate to create this run cycle, but I don't want you to think that you have to use the same thing to animate your run cycle. You can use Flip-a-Clip, Paper, some other third thing. This is not program specific. So here we go. Let me get rid of those pink circles, and then let's go ahead and get started. For Animate, I have this timeline down here, but I'm not going to get into software specific stuff. I'm just going to expand my motion down here, and then I'm going to get started with the first sketch. So like I said, I typically get started with either the stretch or the compression. So I'm going to come in here. Well, actually, let me just fit. There we go. All right. Let me get rid of my keyboard here. Oh yeah, Flip the Clip is good, Kitty Loveland. You can definitely use Flip the Clip. Darius, coming in with a shout out. And Tara the cheetah. If you do have trouble with your run cycles, this should help a little bit, but I will say that if you don't have like a really sound understanding of run cycles before you start, it's going to be a little bit more hard, but not impossible. So just keep that in mind as I start drawing these out. So I always typically start with the head and the ears, just so we kind of know where things are. Already coming in with a strong start here with that ear. And then you've got the cheek floof coming out this way. And then you've got, oh, what have I done? Then you've got the muzzle. There we are. And there we go. Okay, so we want to make that real smooth, coming out of the middle of that head there, and then your eye line's going to be like right there, roughly. Let me get rid of some of those lines so we can clear this up. If you have your own drawing program, or if you're using paper, it definitely helps to follow along. And then if you come out of this with a pretty cool run cycle that you like, you can even share it with me on Discord, which the link to that is in the description of this video, and I can show it in the next tutorial stream. So I would love to see your run cycles. This is roughly where the eye is going to sit, right here. And then the other eye, kind of anime wolf eyes. That is not realistic at all, TK. What are you doing? Yeah. There we go. Maybe something a little bit smaller, kind of looks not as alien. Creepy. Hey Rhea, yeah, this is totally live, so if you guys have any questions, I'm kind of paying attention to the drawing, but I would love to answer any questions you guys have about run cycles or animation or anything like that. But I will say near the end of the stream, closer to like 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, that's when I'm going to be answering a lot more questions. So be sure to show up at least for that if you have the questions, because they'll be paying a lot more attention to the chat at that point. There we go. So let me just get that nose in there, just so we kind of have a basic idea of the facial features of this wolf. He's kind of a sketchy sketch wolf, but that's okay. There we are. And then his face is actually about right there, but his fluff comes out a little bit further. Okay, so, ooh, thank you, Fire Cheetah Girl. Silver Wolf Cub, I will make you noticed. Shout out to you. Shout out to Silver Wolf Cub. Aw, Fire, you're so nice. Definitely appreciate that. There we go. All right, let me get rid of this weird line here, and then add that little mouth at the bottom. And it's kind of a realistic, not super realistic, but this is realistic enough for our little angled, our angled run. Okay, so let's sketch in the body. This is gonna be the harder part. So I wanna do something. Oh, thank you, Arwen Star, coming in with a $10 donation. Thank you so much. You say hello with 3 exclamation points. Don't scare people, Arwen. Come on now. Unbelievable. We are. Okay, this is the part that gets kind of hard, kind of frustrating, because there's so many layers and there's so much stuff overlapping, and this is where your let me zoom out here. This is where your reference is actually going to come in fantastic, handy mode. So let's say we're starting with this guy. Okay, so his legs are coming out really, really far. His head is actually like really far down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to twist his head a bit here and then pull it down, just so it's kind of similar to this one. Now I'm not redrawing the frame. I'm just using it as a reference so that I understand where his body parts are coming from. His shoulders are actually kind of above his head, so you've got this thing going on kind of in the back, and it's overlapping. So you have his neck down here, and then you've got those shoulders coming up like this. Now you've got the front legs really heavily extending, and this can be kind of difficult with the perspective and all that stuff, because perspective is like its own monster to handle here. And whenever you're drawing at an angle like this, you have to have kind of a good understanding of perspective. So basically it's just like this paw is coming out and stretching forward, so it's going to be closer. Here we go. It's actually going to be a little bit closer to the screen like this. So obviously this paw would never be that much bigger than this wolf's head, but whenever you look at how it's stretched out over here, it's coming forward quite a lot. So let's get both of these paws out like this, and it kind of helps to see like where those body parts land whenever you're dealing with perspective and things like that. We've got the paws coming this way. There we go. And it might come out looking a little bit stiff, so you're gonna have to play with it a bit. Like I always preach this. Erase, erase, erase. Don't be afraid to erase. It's one of the things, it's one of the best pieces of advice that I could ever give you. I think his shoulder would actually be out a little bit further. So I'm gonna put his shoulder out to like right here. Yeah. There we are. And then his back is actually kind of down here. And his back legs are straight out. So we want that to kind of, we want to pay attention to the perspective with that as well. So you have the knee kind of coming out this way, and then you've got the leg kind of coming out like that. So it's a lot, this is a lot smaller than that, obviously. Oh man, thank you, Fire Cheetah Girl. What if I do this guide but I make a cheetah? Yes, you can. So this actually works with any kind of four-legged animal. Some of their gaits are a little bit different. Like say you're doing a horse or something, like their legs will be a little bit different. They have a little bit different of a motion, but for the most part, it can be transferred to any animal. So please feel free to do that. Okay, so the tail's gonna be coming out back here. This is really rough also, guys. Like, do not draw this and expect to lay down your lines like right in your first draft, because that's God level stuff and it's not something that you'll be able to do. A lot of people can't do it. Some people can, I guess, but it takes a lot of practice for sure. Here we are. And then I want him to be a little bit, I want him to be a little bit skinnier, keeping in mind that reference that we've got over there. Perfect. Yes, Fire Cheetah Girl, the dog in the back is Allie. I'm sure she's like playing or trying to get some treats, or she's being hyper or whatever, but yeah, that's my puppy in the background, so I apologize for the noise. There we go. And then you've got that other leg. So let's look at that other leg. It's actually back here. If you can see it, it's a little bit blurry, but it's back here. So let's push that other leg like this. So it's gonna be overlapping quite a bit. There we go. All right, so this is gonna be our first frame. And if you did this with me, pat yourself on the back, because this is the hardest frame to do, is usually setting it up and doing the first one. So there we go. And this is all based off of the ref here. So we're doing something super hyper realistic. Those legs will actually be pointed down just a little bit now that I'm re-looking at this picture. Like a ref, so point it down. Oops. Put those little toes in there. There we go. And don't be super bothered by it if it's not perfect, because this is literally just a sketch. Okay, so that is the first frame. So we started with this one. I'm just gonna put like a little X so we don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, so now I kind of want to do the compression part. So that's gonna be the number 3. Let me actually zoom in here a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm gonna create a new frame here, and this is something that this is not program specific of a tutorial, so I do apologize if you're using another program. I can't really tell you how to do this. But I'm typically just making a new frame here. And if you are using paper, what you'll want to do is you'll want to put your paper, you'll want to put a new sheet of paper on top of the paper you just drew on so that you can trace on top of it because you want to see what you've drawn here. There we are. Okay, let me actually zoom out. Here we go. So the next frame we're doing is number 3. So I'm just going to do a very quick sketch here. The head doesn't move that much, okay? So from the stretch to the compression, the head will go up a little bit. So I'm just going to quickly copy this head. We're not doing a ton here. We're just going to trace this head so it's kind of the same. Here we are. I want it to be mostly the same. Let me get that nose in there. Eyes. Doesn't have to look perfect because it's gonna look kind of not great just by itself, but when it's moving, that's the part that we're trying to focus on here. So you want the head to come up just a little bit. And in fact, since we're doing something a little bit more head on, but not head on, we want to do a little bit more three-dimensionality with that nose. So I'm going to actually redraw that here because it's coming up, so you'll see more of the muzzle. There we are. Okay, so it looks like we've got the neck coming down this way if we're looking at our number 3 reference. We've got the neck coming down this way. And we've got this leg back. And you want to keep in mind all of the overlying parts. Here we are. So that paw is going to come back here. And then the other paw is actually, or the other leg is actually a little bit more in front. But there will be a lot more overlap like this. Here we are. And then you've got that back kind of arched up like this because he's compressed. He's not stretching out anymore. He's really compressed. Those haunches are coming in. We're going to overlap that knee. Oh, Previous Apple, thank you so much. You're amazing and my biggest inspiration ever. Aw, thank you. Do appreciate the donation. The donations do help. So thank you so much. Okay, so when I'm looking at this, that leg is actually on the outside. So you've got this going on. Here. And that tail is gonna come down here. So the tail's down for the most part because this dude's hauling A. There we go. And then you've got the other leg over here. Oof. The other thing that I can tell you besides like not being afraid to erase is use real life examples because as you can see it helps a ton just kind of understanding where that there we are. See, look at our motion already. He's hauling it. So we need more frames obviously to make this a little bit smoother. So let me zoom out just a little bit, get rid of this circle. And then actually I'm gonna create a new frame because I want to keep track of like which frames I did here. So we've done 8 and we've done 3. So now we can do all of the ones on the middle. Oh, thank you, Robert. We've got a brand new puppy recruit. Welcome to the pack. You are officially in training and someday soon you will likely be a full pack member, but you need to go through training first. So welcome to the pack. Thank you so much for joining and please enjoy all the tutorials now that you're a pack member because that's definitely for you guys. Please enjoy all of that. All right, now let's go back into here. So let's make a new frame here. Oops, not like that though, like a blank frame. We need a blank frame. There we go. Blank frame. Oh, and I ruined the whole thing. Lovely. Okay. So I'm using an onion skin here so we can see both frames, the blue and the green. And this is something that comes with Animate, but like I said, you can use your paper as well to do this if you're drawing on paper and you need like a transparent paper to do this. Aw, thank you, pretty Yuki. She says, you've been a huge inspiration for me to years. Now I have a YouTube and I'm trying to make my own show. Well, good luck to you. Good luck. Oh, bye, Nagito. Thank you for joining. Okay, all right, so let's do one in the middle here. I'm gonna actually go into this because this is just like muscle memory for me at this point. So we've got, this is just typical, like how I typically animate. So now that I have 2 frames, I can go in and I can add the eyes here. And I'm actually gonna do the nose in the middle. So I'm basically just drawing the lines in the middle. Fire Cheetah Girl, could I reference the first position we did? Yes, please. You guys can use anything I draw in this tutorial as reference. I will not hold it against you. You don't have to credit me or anything. Like, I'm literally referencing wildlife here, and that is free for all. So please use this as reference. This is great to like learn and to understand how these wolves move and all of that fun stuff. You'll become a much better artist if you study wildlife. So please study the wildlife and use these references. References are wonderful. So like I said, I am just literally drawing in between the 2 frames. Nothing perfect. This is super sketchy. Like, we're keeping things real sketchy. I'm probably not gonna line this in this tutorial because it takes so long to get these things lined. So let's see, we're starting with that stretch and now we're coming back down. So if we look at our ref here, it actually starts with the compression. Like, the compression is first. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the order of my frames. Let's put this in the middle because that's my stretch, and we'll put my compression as the first frame. So we're actually starting with frame 3. Sorry, no, it's probably confusing. Cool. So now that we're in the middle, let's do frame 5 or frame 6. But honestly, at this point, you don't really need the ref as much anymore because you're just kind of drawing. You're drawing in the middle, but you have to keep in mind your perspective. So whenever these front paws come closer to the camera, they're going to be a little bit bigger than what they should be, and that's because you're drawing dynamically. You're drawing it a little bit closer to that camera. So let's draw this in real quick. And if you guys have questions, I'm kind of paying attention to the chat just a little bit here, so please throw questions at me if you have any questions about this. Okay, so we want this to be kind of a fluid motion here. So we've got the shoulder kind of coming up this way. That back, it's going to kind of go between those 2 backs. And this leg has come up quite a bit, but it's not quite there yet. So we're going to draw it about right there. Less perspective, it's a little bit bigger than the green one back there, but it's not quite as big as the blue one here. So I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller because it's kind of growing as it gets closer to the camera. Here we are. Very good. And we'll draw in that tail, which is just kind of down because we're doing realistic here. Usually I like to make it anime tail and it's real fluid. Lily Loop asks, what app is it? I am using, oh, and Blackstream is also asking, what app is it? I am using a Microsoft Windows tablet to draw, and this app is actually Adobe Animate. But you don't necessarily need either one of those things to do this. You can use whatever program you like. There's free ones that you can use, like Flip a Clip and things like that, where you can basically use these techniques to draw your own wolf run cycle. So as you can see, we've got 3 frames so far. Here we are. Awesome. So as he's stretching out, that head is getting thrown down. So let's do another frame in the middle. So let me copy this over. Copy. Paste in place. And then I'm going to make a new frame right in between those 2. And now we've got something interesting here. At one point, one of these paws hit the ground. So let me look at my ref. And let's see, whenever they stretch, we've got in number 9, let's look at this. So for number 9, let me change the color so you can see what I'm looking at. Here we are. So the leg closest to the camera is actually hitting that ground. This one is still extended. And then in the next one, he's putting all his weight on that leg, and this leg is still extended. And then it's back behind him, and this leg finally hits the ground. So that's what we're trying to do next. So what we want to do, why do I have an accent? Ooh. Here we go. Yes, Adobe Animate is the app. Thank you, Kiwata. Oh, Kiwata, like that one show. Cool. That's a cool show. Okay, so we'll say that this leg hits the ground first. So it is over here. And then let's see. It's actually going to come off the artboard a bit, but that's fine. Let me just zoom out just a tad. It's going to come out of the artboard. That's okay. Here we are. And then the chest is here. And then this one is still up in the air, but it hasn't quite hit the ground yet. And what I like to do, if you want to go a little bit away from the realistic, is you have kind of gravity like pulling that paw up. So you have the toes. This is just something I like to do to give it a little flair. And you can kind of see the bottom of the toes. Because all of that force that he's putting on that leg is actually pushing those toes up, so the claws would actually be like up here. And you've got the dew claw on that leg. But this leg has hit the ground. It's done. So there's a lot of pressure, or not like a ton of pressure, but there's a little bit of pressure on that leg. And then this one, I'm actually going to redraw it a little bit because I want it to come closer to the screen. So more like that. There. I want the toes to be kind of up here. Really exaggerating that. There we are. Really, really heavily exaggerating how the wind is pushing down that paw. I've got the pad back there. Perfect. Welcome back, Fire. Here we are. Okay, real sketchy, but it's there. So let's take a look at the back legs. Let's see what the back legs are doing. They're still stretched out pretty far, so they're actually going to be a little bit more like up here. Because you've got like that sway going on like this in the back, like for their spine, the real flexible spine. There we are. So we'll say it's like even further back like this. And there's lots of perspective, so that paw is super tiny. It's the furthest part away from the camera, so it makes it really, really dynamic. Same thing with this leg back here. And that back really went up. Still in the middle of that stretch. There we are. Okay, so we are drawing in between these two, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw right in between for the face. The eye comes about right there. The eye comes here. And you got, oh, he looks dopey. There we go. TK, I have a question. Is it better to do the head or the shoulder first? From Lila. That is a fantastic question. So what I typically do is I actually do the head first. That sounds like I'm lying because I know this frame, I did the head last, but typically I do the head first. I think it helps to do the part where you just kind of draw in between. You can do all the complex stuff once that the part that doesn't move that much is set in place. That's just me. I think it just depends on, what's easier for you and what your style is. There we go. So if you wanted to do the shoulders first and that makes the process easier for you, by all means, like, do it. And then that shoulder, there we go, it's actually going to be more like that. Here we go. Okay, so now we have something like this. Let me play it in sequence here. If you're drawing on like a little notepad, you can flip through it and see like what yours looks like. Typically, this is what you're going to get. Something kind of fluid, like you can see the back is like squiggling, like this wolf is hauling it. Obviously it doesn't feel that way because this is drawn out over 1 second. So what I want to do is I actually want to pull these frames a little bit closer together, and I'm going to put a little frame in between each one. And I think that will give us a good, this might give you some epilepsy actually, so if anything flashing like bothers you, you might want to look away in a second here, because I'm going to play this. I think this is going to be a little bit quicker. This is going to be a very fast animation. There we go. So it'll typically be about that fast. Sorry for the epilepsy. I'll go ahead and add in the middle frames here. This is the part where you can kind of like put on your, you know, your AirPods or your headphones, and you can literally just like jam out as you just draw in between these lines. Let's see. Oh, Arvin, sorry, your page is glitching. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Negative Effect. I didn't mean to hurt your eyes. I won't do that again until we have all the frames in here. So, there we go. Add ear here, another ear here. Let's add in the little cheeks. And you want to keep in mind that like there are seriously a lot of overlapping parts, but if you can just look at a reference and see where those legs look like on a regular, just a regular like run cycle reference, you can kind of place things where they need to be and it looks pretty good. If you're going for realistic, don't trace it or anything, but you can use it to learn and kind of see how those legs are supposed to be. There we go. Those legs are supposed to be placed. So let's bring this leg this way. Let's bring the shoulder up here, the neck's about right there. That back is kind of going in between the compression and the stretch. Let's see, Katie Loveland, how many frames would there be for a normal run cycle? It honestly depends on your preference, and it also depends on how fast you want your Wolfie to go. Typically, if you do something faster, kind of like I'm doing, like where they're just hauling, like they're just going, they're chasing like a rabbit or something, typically there's less frames because they're going so fast. And if you add a lot of frames, it's going to be a lot slower. Let's see, Barimi said, if we did it on paper, how would we put it in order? So you want to keep in like a very close tabs of like what order you want to do it in. A lot of it is you need to just draw that stretch and that compression and then just draw your in-betweens. And as you're doing that, you can number your paper. I don't know if you've seen like those older animation type things where the papers were like numbered. Just number your papers and you'll be golden. And then you can like put it in order that way if that helps. Yeah, we're just gonna continue to draw in the middle here. And this is, like I said, where you can just sit back and listen as all the hard work has literally been done. You can kind of just sit back and draw in the missing frames and do all of your in-between type stuff. And once you're done with this, it's really cake. You just go in and knock these back, make them super opaque, and then you can put in like some nice clean art or line art. Hey Cloud Paul, I'm glad you did not miss it. This stream will become private, so once it's not live anymore. So glad you're here. Glad you could make it. So I do want to point one thing out. I'm not going to draw in between on this one, and the reason being is it's going to hit that ground first, so it actually needs to come up and be high up. So there's a lot of perspective going on here. There we go. And in the next frame, you can see the green frame, it's kind of like going down. There we are. So I really want to show off the bottom of those paws. I know it looks like really sketchy and hard to see here. Let me get rid of some of these crazy lines. You can really see the bottom of the paw. Because in that next frame, it's going to be going down quite a bit. And if you look at this frame by itself, it does look pretty goofy, but that's because I'm not drawing shadows, I'm drawing line art, and that makes things kind of weird sometimes. Here we go. And this leg is still kind of coming up, so it needs to be more like this. And then we're just gonna just draw the rest in the middle here. That neck is kind of coming up. The booty, the thick booty, is coming to the top here, right in the middle. You can kind of start seeing the toes and that tail. There we go. And this one is coming forward a lot more, so you can see all of that stuff back there. Here we are. And now let's do this frame here. Whoops. Okay, back to this. It is literally rinse and repeat at this point. Like, doesn't reference make life so much easier? Like, I'm not even using it anymore. But we're gonna go and we're gonna look at it and see how close I got when this is over. If you do have problems with your legs, I did have like a tip for you. Like, if your legs are like super weird and they're not working, there is a way that you can like troubleshoot your legs. So I will show you that when I'm done with this initial sketch. You can see how you can just make something so much more smooth. There we go. Now we want this leg that's closest to the camera to be in the position this leg is in, right? But like on the other side, because that leg is actually going to be in the middle here. Yeah. Perfect. So it's starting to just go, starting to go up. You can kind of see the little paw pads here. Really, 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 really rough. This is not the final product whatsoever. Like, this is literally just so we have an idea of where those legs go. The legs are a pain. So, it's actually kind of too big back there because it's further away from the camera. We want this part to be kind of big. So, then you can kind of see the bottom of the pads here. Very good. And then there. And then that chest is actually, kind of drew that weird. Chest is actually like right here. See, it goes back that way. Perfect. The back kind of goes up. You're literally just drawing in the middle. And sitting back, listening to whatever music you like as you draw in these frames. Also, I would love to see y'all's run cycles if you are animating along with me. So if you would like to send your run cycles to me, you can connect with me on Discord, which is basically linked in the description of this video. Here we go. There needs to be... Whew! Look at those lines! That was my first frame, that's why. Ooh, I'm gonna make that a little bit neater. Crazy how much more messy the first frame is, but that's typical. Typically your first frame will be really messy, especially if you draw sketchy like me, so you can get the gesture of everything in here. Yeah. All right, so if you do want to show me your run cycles, I will show them in the next tutorial. So you can connect with me on Discord. So just click on the Discord link in the description of this video and you can send me your run cycles so I can show it off if you want to be featured. Yeah. All right, so let's do a picture between this one and this one. That's what we need. So let me move this way. Let me move this whole thing over here. Here we go. Those onion layers really heavily help. So this ended up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 frames. And usually your run cycle is going to land between 8 and 12 frames, depending on how fast your wolf is running. I picked a reference where this wolf is like really hauling butt. So there's less frames I have to worry about here. But obviously if they're doing like a leisurely canter or whatever, you're gonna need more frames. Yeah. Literally just drawing in the middle here. Sometimes what I even do is I will stop sketching at this point and I will line the pieces that are done, and then I will go in and I will just line the middle. And that's not super advisable, but that's something that I do just because I'm used to drawing these guys like full throttle. And that's something you can do when you get more used to the motions and things like that to save a little bit of time. Alright, let's just do everything in between here. Very good. And then the tail comes out in the back. Stomach comes here. And now we have this leg. And there's tons of pressure on this leg. Like all of the weight of this wolf is going onto this leg. And the reason being is this is the only leg on the ground. Because you've got the back legs all off of the ground. There you go. Get that chest in there. And then this one just barely is touching the ground. Like just barely. Like no weight's being put on it or anything. It's just stretching forward, about to hit the ground. So now here's what we have. Let's do this. Ah, can you hear my puppy? Just barking. So now here's what we have. Not super great, right? Like something is going on with this and it's not cute at all. So how do we fix this? Well, the front legs don't look terrible. I think the front legs could be on the ground a little bit longer, and the back legs just seem really weird to me. Like they're almost going backwards. See what I mean? So it almost seems like on this frame right here, this back leg should be on the ground. So say it's like stretched. Oops. It should be like on the ground right here. Just from re-watching it, and sometimes you have to sketch it out, and also that's why sketching it first is like heavily important, because if you make that mistake when you're lining it, you just wasted so much time. That back is actually down here. Oops. It's like not as high up as I thought. There we go. There we are. I actually want it even further forward. That's just, it doesn't stretch enough to me, I don't think. But you also want to keep in mind that it's going to overlay quite a bit. There we are. Let's say that leg came out like right here. You've got a lot of weight on that leg. There we are. Alright, so now it's going to be on the ground back here as well. It's not like up in the air. And so is this one, except it's going to be a little bit further forward. And this back end is actually going to be, like the middle is going to be like right here. That back end's going to come in. There we are. So now it's looking more like that. And honestly, we need this to be on the ground still, even though that one came off of the ground. So let's look at our frames here. Let's say this leg just came off the ground. We want to put a nice bend to it, kind of like this. we are. More of an arch in that back. And this one is kind of like up here still. But it's actually behind the body there. Here we are. So you really want to overlap that. There we go. And actually, I kind of want to bring that forward a little bit more because of perspective. Oops. There we are. Because it's still further forward. Much further forward than that back paw. There we go. So now we're looking at this. That's weird, right? So you want this to actually be a little bit different. And this is something that you'll get used to the more you animate. So I want it to be between these two. Yeah. Racing is your friend. That's off the ground. This is just about. So you want this to be on the ground still, but like way back there. Yeah, keep that perspective in there. And this is actually like way further back than that leg. Okay, let's get that back up here. Actually, it wouldn't come out that far, to be honest with you. Oh, are you guys spamming? Come on, guys, don't spam. That's your least favorite thing to do. Really working on getting that shape right. Oops. Aw, thank you, Fire Cheetah Girl. TK, there is spam. Please help. Who is spamming? Don't spam, you guys. Thank you for the donation, Fire. I'm modding alone. Oof. Okay. This will actually be shorter because of perspective. And it'll be more like that, I would think. And this tail is actually be more like that. Okay, so let's take a look at this. There we are. Let's see. Let's just look at it. That's a little better. So we've got the back legs on the ground for a certain amount of time. The head isn't like moving that much. I could actually make this a whole lot more dynamic if I pulled that head down a little bit. So here's what I want to do real quick, because we've got like a decent sketch in here. This is the lowest point. So I'm actually going to, sorry for people drawing on paper. This is why I have so much trouble drawing on paper. I like moving them around once they've been drawn. So I want him to really be like reaching. There we go. I want him to be like down there. Let me get rid of my lines here. Very good. And that those shoulders are actually going to be way up here. They're really going to be reaching. There we go. And this kind of looks crazy, so I'm going to get rid of it. There we are. So this head and this, like this part, You can actually lower that head as well because you want it to fit between the two that you just mess with. So if I look at just those, I can actually take this away and you can see the blue and the green lines. So now I can pull this maybe like this and put it right in between here. And this is something most programs will let you do. The only thing that's kind of hard is like if you're on paper, it's kind of hard to move it around like that. Like you'll have to redraw some things. Okay. So now it looks more like this. And that's kind of like really not cute because it jerks. It jerks a lot. So I want to lower this head even more. Let's lower you a little bit more. That head's really going down. It's like down here. Messing up on you, and it's like not fun at all. So the only other thing that I'd probably do with this is I'd add a little bit more motion to that tail, and I'd also make his back a little bit more like dynamic and fluid. I think it's decent enough for now just because it's a sketch. It's just a sketchy sketch. But yeah, that's how I animate a wolf. running at an angle with perspective and everything. I hope this was super helpful to you guys. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'll stick around for the next 5 or 6 minutes just in case you guys have questions. Oh, look at that, 200 likes. Thank you guys so much for booping that like button. I do appreciate it. It helps me a lot with the YouTube algorithm and things like that so that I can keep making content for you guys. I do appreciate all of the support. And like I said, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please let me know. Oh, thank you, Fire. So I made a cheetah base. It literally sucks. I did horrible on the face. Anyways, I love the tutorial and hearing your voice. See you next time. Thank you, Fire. I hope this was helpful for your cheetah base. Cheetahs and wolves run a little bit differently, but I mean, they're both four-legged animals, so you can definitely use this for, you know, a base. I think that works a whole lot. When are you gonna make another wolf search animation? Ah, the search. Okay, so that's secret. That's a total secret, and I can't tell you. I'm sorry. Hey, do you have a stream schedule? Negative Effect is asking. Yes, I do. So I typically do tutorials on Thursdays, and I do art galleries on Tuesdays. And those times will never change. I will always stream on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, but the topics may change, so keep an eye out on that. If you want more information on exactly what I'm going to be streaming, please join me on Discord. There is a link to it in the description of this video, and I will keep you guys posted on the topics there if you're interested. Corgi asks, do we DM you the animation on Discord or the Discord server? Yes, please direct message me. I do accept DMs, so please direct message me on the Discord and you can send me your run cycle animation there. How long have you had YouTube? I believe I started it in 2009. Troy says, when are you going to make Wolf Song 2? I don't have plans for that yet. I'm sorry, Troy. Okay, Huwacha asks, can you show each frame in order? Yeah, totally. So, if you look at it from the very beginning, this is the compression. So the back legs and the front legs are very squeezed together here. This is the next frame. So that back leg hit the ground, but the second back leg hasn't quite hit that ground yet. And in fact, if you look at these, it's a little bit strange, right? That back leg kind of disappears. So I would almost want to come in here and add that back leg a little bit here so you can kind of see it peeking out through the back. Here we go. Oops, maybe not like that though. Kind of like that where it's stretching out. In fact, yeah, that looks better. Here we go. I'm sorry, showing the frames is so dangerous because I get like, I need to fix it now that I see all the errors. And you will see all the errors whenever you animate these out. You'll be like, oh no, that doesn't look right. And you can just fool with it forever. Okay, so that's the next frame. So that back leg, oh, that looks terrible. See, that's not cute. That back leg needs to be more like down here. Here we are. There we go. And then it actually, there. Okay, so front legs come up, back legs hit the ground on that third frame. Let me get rid of this. And then you've got the stretch here. This leg is still heavily, whoops, this leg is heavily on the ground. This leg is about to come off of the ground in this frame. And this leg, the front leg, is actually about to go up and above that other leg. Hey Fire, thanks for the donation. Can't wait to see you next time. Hope we can chat on Discord soon again. Yes, I look forward to chatting with you. I'm sorry I always respond late. I'm like, oh no, I need to catch up with all my messages. Okay, so that front leg goes up. Oops, I don't know why I just erased that. There we go, the different paws. Oh, I guess I was trying to erase the mess. There's so much to erase here. It's such a messy run cycle. But it's not about the individual frames. It's more about the motion and things like that. Okay, so this leg is going down now, and this leg is still kind of going up just a little bit. And the back leg, this one came off of the ground completely. This one's about to come off of the ground. In the next frame, they're both off of the ground. Both of these legs. This leg is touching down on the earth, this leg is about to touch down on the earth, and they kind of follow each other. Like, this leg follows this leg, if that makes sense. They're following the cycles. Here we go. And then it's coming back, so there's a ton of weight on this, oops, there's a ton of weight on this leg, and this leg is just touching down. Oops, okay. And then the last frame is this leg is finally touched down, and there's tons of weight on this leg. These back legs are coming forward. And those are all of the frames. The other thing that I wanted to show you guys, if your legs are really, really weird and you're trying to like fix your legs, there is a quick trick where you can fix your legs really easily. So let me just play this loop real quick. This is kind of what it looks like here. Say your legs are doing something weird. What you can do is you can actually do a new layer here. Say I wanted to follow the motion of this leg right here. So I'm gonna put a red dot everywhere the leg goes. Actually, it's not a new frame. Let me start over. There we go. So it's all about the shape that you're making here. So I'm gonna put a red dot everywhere the leg goes. So right here, the leg's here, or the foot, where the foot goes, the foot's here, the foot's here. Now the foot's up here. That's really weird. Now the foot's here. Now the foot's here. Now it's here. And now it's back here. So typically what I would do is I would say, okay, I don't like that. I don't think that's a good shape, because typically your shape needs to look like a teardrop. And your leg is supposed to follow that shape into a teardrop. So if I erased these two dots and I did something more like this, and then even stretch this out a little bit more, and then if I went in and moved those feet to follow that path, it would look so much better. So those two are fine. This is the one that's kind of weird. So say I wanted to move, let's just move this leg for now. It needs to be up a little bit more. So it needs to be like, nope, not even far enough. Go. Needs to be a little bit bigger. And look at that, that's already more dynamic because it's like overlapping that other leg in the background. So that helps a ton already. And it even shows kind of what this leg is doing, which is awesome. Thank you, Fire. Fire says, TK, someone is spamming. Oh no! Stop spamming, guys! Okay, so the next one, that leg's fine. This is the one that's kind of weird, right? So let's erase this leg here. It needs to hit like right here. No. I kind of want it to go. You can still do the dynamic shapes here. Have the little, oh. And now this one needs to kind of go back a little bit more, so it's like hitting the ground. There, and there we go. So if I hide these dots, now it looks like this. It's so much more dynamic, but I will say that I'm not a huge fan. Let's see. So I'm not a huge fan of this part right here. I think this is still actually on the floor. Here we are. And this one's coming up. And I think this needs to move just a little bit. There we are. That's a little bit better. Much more dynamic. And it helps to look at it with the red dots here, so you can kind of see how it's following, that foot is following that teardrop shape. And you can do that with every leg. If you're having trouble with the legs, like I'm having some issues with the back legs, so I would probably do the same thing for those back legs to really fix that, that motion in that shape. And that should do it for me, guys. That is how I animate the dynamic run cycles. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you so much for all of your support. Before you guys leave, let me just do a quick, oops, here we go. Ah, like my stuff is like everywhere. So that's been my tutorial on the dynamic run cycles, or running at an angle. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to everyone who donated during the stream. We've got Fire Cheetah Girl, Arwinstar27, Previous Apple, Robert became a new member, so welcome to the pack, Robert. And then we have much more donations from Fire Cheetah Girl, so thank you guys so much. Oh, yeah, I know, people are spamming. Stop spamming, guys. Peter, stop. Okay, well, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for donating, and I hope this was helpful. Like I said, I'd love to hear see your dynamic run cycles, so if you could send those to me on Discord, that would be fantastic. And that should do it. Have a good night, guys. Bye.